Welcome back, Wildcats. So, today's lesson in how to become an even stronger reader is that we know that strong readers do not just read the words and then are done with the story. When you are reading, you should be thinking about the story the entire time, imagining it as a movie, or asking yourself questions, or making connections to your own life or to the world around you as you read. So, and also using fix up strategies if you're not sure what something means. So, all of these things that are all about creating meaning when you read is what we're focusing on today. So, I'm going to do a read aloud of a book called Those Shoes, and I'm going to model that thinking as I read. And then afterwards, I'll show you how to complete a reading response called a 3-2-1 response. And it's designed to help you keep track of your thinking as you are reading. So get ready to listen to Those Shoes and be listening for where I'm doing my thinking out loud. I have dreams about those shoes. Black high tops, 2 white stripes, and he sees them on a billboard that says, "Buy these shoes." Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here, just need, Grandma says. And what you need are new boots for winter. So I'm guessing from that Jeremy's family doesn't have a lot of extra money to buy things that they just want rather than what they need. And all of that I could tell from just what I read so far. Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow. Next, Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence each get a pair. I'm going to show you a picture of them in the cafeteria. And all the boys that have the same pair of shoes that Jeremy wants. Then one day in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. "Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy," Mr. Alfrey, the guidance counselor, says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size, Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid has ever watched. And I'm going to stop there because I have a connection. This reminds me of a time that one of my students who was wearing flip-flops to school had her flip-flop break. And it was the part that held it, the flat part that goes underneath the bottom of the flip-flop. And it completely broke in half. And so she couldn't wear it no matter what we did. We couldn't keep it on her foot. So she had to get some shoes from the office. And like these, they weren't high fashion and they weren't very comfortable. And she was very upset about it. When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes and laughs. And so do Terrence, Brandon T., and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonio Parker. At home, Grandma says, "How kind of Mr. Alfrey." I nod and turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes, and my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. So I know from what he's saying right there that he felt so embarrassed because kids were laughing at him for his shoes. And he also, his grandma's pointing out this was a really nice thing for Mr. Alfrey to do, and that's true, but Jeremy's not in a place where he can feel grateful for that. He's just kind of embarrassed and sad. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know." At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. Maybe they wrote it down wrong, I say. Grandma shakes her head. So I'm guessing from her expression that the price on the shoes is probably more than what she had thought and also more than what she has available. Then I remember the thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his or got 2 pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third thrift shop, and I see something in the window. I'm guessing it might be those shoes. Black shoes with 2 white stripes, high tops, perfect shape, $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot into the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit. And there, I have yet another connection. There was a pair of boots I once wanted, cowboy boots, when I was a teenager, and I wanted them so badly, but they did not have my size. So I convinced my mom that they fit anyway. It was a disaster. I wonder if Jeremy's going to have a similar situation because they clearly don't fit if he has to curl his toes to get his foot in. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. Oh, Jeremy, I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit. I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. They're okay, I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes did not fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money, and I squeeze them on and limp to the bus stop. Now, in my case, my boots were too big, not too small. So it was a little easier, but definitely painful. At home a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet shuffling around in my 2 small shoes. Sometimes shoes stretch, I say. Grandma gives me a hug. And in this picture, you can see his feet have Band-Aids all over them from the blisters he must be getting. I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear Mr. Alfre's to school instead. One day during math, I glance at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfre shoes. I'm making a prediction. I think I know what's going to happen. Do you know what's going to happen? I'm thinking that Jeremy might decide to give the shoes to Antonio if they fit. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. I think, I'm not going to do it. We leap off the swings. I'm not going to do it. We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. So I feel like Jeremy's really struggling with this decision to give the shoes to Antonio. He doesn't want to give up his dream of owning them, but he also wants to do the right thing for his friend. Let's see what happens. That night, I am awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door, push the doorbell, and run. Well, that's kind of cool. So maybe I'm thinking Antonio Jeremy doesn't want Antonio to feel bad. At school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's then I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, "Thanks." I smile and give him a nudge. Let's race. So my other connection to that is I was looking for a pair of dress boots that I could wear with clothes, and I just couldn't find any that fit, and I didn't have a lot of extra money myself at that time. And a friend had an extra pair that were too small for her, and she didn't want to return them to the place where she got them. So she said, "Here, why don't you have them?" And so I got a new pair of boots that were awesome, and it didn't cost me a thing. And I tried to make sure that I paid it that favor back and forward every chance I got. So I can see so many connections to this book about kindness, which is one of the core values that we've been studying, and community and integrity. So those are all things that I'm thinking about right now. So I'm going to switch over. I'm going to pause this video and then connect to the page that I want to show you how to do today.